Ever had that one neighbor who thinks the entire world revolves around their spoiled kid? Well, buckle up, because today's story takes entitled parenting to a whole new level. When the HOA Karen called the cops on me after her son demanded my Mustang, not realizing that I'm the police chief myself. Stick around till the end, because the twist will blow your mind. And hey, before we dive in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell icon so you never miss stories like this. One quiet Saturday morning, I was in my driveway polishing up my pride and joy, a deep blue Ford Mustang GT that I'd worked my entire life to earn, a car that represented years of service, sacrifice, and long shifts at the department, a symbol of every time I chose duty over comfort, and the one thing that gave me pure joy when I wasn't dealing with crime or paperwork. And while I normally like to keep my private life separate from my professional one, this Mustang was one of the few things that blended both, because the roar of that V8 was my stress relief after 12-hour days as the chief of police in our city, and on that day, I thought I'd have nothing more stressful than applying wax and enjoying the crisp morning air, but boy was I wrong, because across the street lived our HOA's self-appointed queen bee, a woman everyone secretly called Karen, though her real name was Margaret, the type who lived for enforcing pointless HOA rules and sending passive-aggressive emails about trash bins being out 2 minutes late. And trailing right behind her like a shadow was her spoiled teenage son, Jason, who believed the world owed him everything, probably because his mother treated him like royalty, and as I was bent over wiping down the hood, I heard the dreaded shrill voice calling across the cul-de-sac, "Oh wow, Jason, look at that car. Isn't it perfect for you?" And I immediately felt my stomach sink because whenever Karen showed interest in anything I owned, trouble was bound to follow, and sure enough, Jason strutted over in sagging shorts and an arrogant smirk, looked at my car like it already belonged to him, and said, "Yo, old man, how much you want for this Mustang? My birthday's coming up and my mom's getting me a car, so let's just make this easy for everyone." I gave him a calm smile and said, "It's not for sale, kid, this one's mine and I worked hard for it," thinking that would be the end of it, but Jason puffed up like a peacock and sneered, "Do you know who my mom is? She runs this neighborhood, she can make your life miserable if you don't cooperate," and before I could even respond, Karen herself waltzed over with that trademark HOA clipboard in hand and announced, "Well, actually, he's right. I think this car would be much safer in the hands of a responsible young man than someone your age, Chief," stressing my title like it was an insult, not realizing how badly she was underestimating me, because even though most people in the neighborhood knew I was a cop, very few realized I was the chief of police, and I liked it that way because it kept interactions simple, but apparently today it was going to work to my advantage, so I calmly replied, "Karen, this car isn't up for discussion, it's mine, and Jason will need to look elsewhere for his birthday gift," but of course she wasn't having it, and she gave me that tight smile and said, "We'll see about that," before dragging her son away, whispering something about people not knowing their place. I shrugged it off at first, thinking it was just another case of HOA drama, but within an hour, as I was finishing up, I noticed flashing red and blue lights coming down the street, and for a second I thought maybe one of my units was patrolling the area, but my stomach dropped when 3 cruisers pulled right up to my driveway and officers I personally supervised stepped out looking confused, and one of them, Officer Daniels, approached and said, Chief, we got a call about a possible stolen vehicle at this address, matching the description of your Mustang." I nearly laughed at the absurdity of it, but before I could respond, Karen stormed out of her house, dragging Jason like she was presenting a witness in court, and shouted, "That's the car. That's my son's car. He stole it. Officers, do your job and arrest this thief right now." And Jason smirked like Christmas had come early, clearly convinced his mother's word was law, but what he didn't realize was that the men standing in front of me weren't just any officers. They were my men. Officers who had served under me for years, respected me, and knew better than to make a fool of themselves, and the moment they looked at me, recognition hit, and Daniels cleared his throat and said carefully, "Ma'am, this is Chief Reynolds' vehicle, he's our commanding officer, and I can assure you it's not stolen." Karen blinked like she'd just been slapped, clearly not understanding, and barked, "Chief. Chief of what? Some neighborhood watch? Don't try to cover for him, I know corruption when I see it." But I calmly pulled out my badge, held it up for everyone to see, and said in the most level voice I could muster, Chief of Police, ma'am, and this is my car. You just wasted police resources on a false report. Her face drained of color, but Jason, too entitled to realize how deep in trouble they were, shouted, "No way. He's lying. That car is supposed to be mine. Arrest him, Mom, make them arrest him." At that, even the officers couldn't hold back laughter, but I wasn't laughing, because filing a false report is a crime, and I'd had enough of their antics, so I said, "Karen, I'm giving you one chance to apologize and step back before this escalates further," but she doubled down, insisting, "You're just abusing your power. I'll call the mayor if I have to." And right on cue, my phone buzzed with a call from the mayor himself, because word travels fast when multiple cruisers are dispatched to a suburban HOA dispute, and when I explained the situation, the mayor sighed and said, "Handle it as you see fit, Chief. We trust your judgment," and that was all I needed. I turned back to Karen, looked her square in the eye, and said, "You've officially crossed the line. You filed a false police report, attempted to commit fraud by claiming my property as yours, and wasted taxpayer resources. You and your son will both be answering for this," and as Daniel stepped forward with cuffs, Karen suddenly changed her tune, wailing, wait, no. This is all a misunderstanding. Jason just really liked the car. You can't seriously arrest us, we're your neighbors." But I wasn't swayed, because I'd seen this pattern too many times, entitled people thinking rules don't apply to them, and I knew that letting it slide would only embolden her further, so I gave the order, and Daniels read her rights right there in front of the entire block as curious neighbors peeked through their blinds, some even coming outside with their phones recording, and Jason screamed bloody murder as he was handcuffed, yelling, "You can't do this. I'm getting that car one way or another." But the reality was sinking in, and Karen's empire of HOA intimidation crumbled right there on the sidewalk. The aftermath was glorious, because the HOA board, embarrassed by her actions, voted her out of her self-appointed president role. Neighbors who had been bullied for years finally felt free, and Jason ended up doing community service under the same officers he'd tried to command, scrubbing graffiti while people drove by in their Mustangs and honked just to watch him scowl. And as for me, I enjoyed my car in peace again, knowing justice had been served in the most poetic way possible, and though Karen tried to spin the story later claiming it was all a miscommunication, no one bought it, and the sight of her standing in cuffs in her perfectly manicured front yard became neighborhood legend, a reminder that entitlement has consequences, and every time I start that Mustang and feel the rumble beneath my feet, I can't help but smile, knowing that no one, especially an HOA Karen and her spoiled son, will ever take it from me again.